Short game wise, yes, I can. Long game wise, no. No, I have not.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
They gotta play the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
No, you're talking the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
Very nice.
Long game is back.
All right, Long Game Pod is back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. There's a lot happening. We're trying to get our bearings.
Is it back?
I don't know.
Is it
We're going to
back?
find out. We're going to find out. So hold on. First of all, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. You're supposed to be home. You were on a family trip, not a vacation. There's a distinction between a family trip and a vacation. And your flight got delayed 6 times. What happened?
So there was 2 inches of snow at Logan Airport the Sunday we were flying home. So they delayed us from Sunday to Tuesday, and we were flying out of Sarasota. Wanted us to go from Sarasota to Tampa, which is an hour away, to LaGuardia, then home. So we're like, that's not going to happen. This will probably get delayed again. Sure enough, windstorm delays us till the next day, Wednesday. I just kept walking by the front desk every day of this hotel we were staying in. I was like, DJ Khaled, like, ka-ching, like, please, another night. Same thing, car rental. Oh my God. That set me back. That was a golf trip in itself, the last 4 days there, but 2 very young kids.
What do you mean a golf trip in itself?
Already a long trip got delayed until about 2 weeks. I was ready to be home, but luckily got home, and what was waiting for us, Dave? The stomach bug.
The stomach bug.
Now, you went through this a few weeks ago, right?
We went through something. Yeah, we haven't had the, knock on wood, we haven't had the stomach bug yet. I mean, we've had it in years past, and
yeah.
This is like a rite of passage. My sister has a kid. He's 1, and I think they used to think we were crazy because we'd be like, "Oh, we can't go to this thing. Like our kids are sick," or like, "Don't come over. Our kids are sick." And then now that they have a kid, it's literally every other week there is some type of virus. I think
it's that cliche that like you hear before you have kids, like, oh, you're gonna be sick every week, and you really can't understand it till you have kids. It's insane. I don't remember being this sick as a kid. I don't remember my parents really ever being sick, but it is unbelievable.
It's a different generation. They were probably sick and just nobody
Rub some dirt on it. Yeah.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it.
With the stomach bug, I was thinking, like, putting aside all terminal illnesses and terrible things, as far as like daycare stuff,
no,
it's number one, right?
It's number one. It's number one. It's not even close. It's just it's complete chaos. And then there's like you're just like retching. You're just like literally like, I think I would die, right? I'd be okay with dying right now in this moment when it's going on. And then the worst, worst is being sick. But then the other part for me is when I just get in my head about it, which is like if one of the kids has it, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, am I not okay? Am I okay or am I not okay right now?
So our first to go down was the baby, but the babies throw up all the time. But this was kind of out of the
different.
Ordinary. But I was the first, like, non-baby to get it, which is kind of a blessing. And you're kind of in this unique position where you're just looking around. You're like, oh, who's next? And it is so terrifying when you're on the other side of that. Like, especially if it's someone like maybe not in your family, but you spent like 6 hours with, you're like, oh God. And for like 3 days, you're just like, what is that? What is that feeling? But yeah,
I will say the closest we've been to this is we went to Disney last year, and my wife and I, Leah, we each got food. We both got food poisoning on our first night there.
Oh,
the first night in Disney in a hotel, and it might as well have been the stomach bug. And I wanted someone to come pick us up. I needed to go home. It was
and your kids understood, right? They weren't like, we got to go to this once in a lifetime park, right?
6:30, and they were like, I'm hungry. Where's my iPad? And we were just like, oh, it's impossible. Yeah. We ended up getting it together and walking around. You said it was a golf trip for the last 4 days. Was that a joke, or did you get to play?
No,
golf?
I mean, it was the from a monetary standpoint, it was about the cost. Just the hotels don't give you a break because your flight got delayed.
Yeah, there wasn't like a deal from that. Well,
nope.
And did you play any golf in Florida?
I did. I played twice.
Oh yeah, you played twice. You played one round. We talked to Kyle Porter.
One round.
You were down there for so long ago.
I was down there for so long. I got rained out twice on rounds. It rained. My friends are giving me shit now because I was very vocally complaining the entire time to them, just venting. like just being stuck in this hotel room for 2 weeks, or
Yeah,
we
it's
were in a
tough.
few different places, but
You just
and they
want
were
to be
giving me shit
home.
like, oh yeah, it's snowing here. It's like it's 30 degrees. Like we don't. I'm like, I would gladly shuffle every single one of your driveways to be home at that moment. But it was like, I think it rained 8 or 9 days out of 14. The last 2 days we were under tornado warnings. Yeah, it was fun, but
All
we're
right,
back.
so you
We're
and
home.
we're just gonna chat. We're gonna chat today. We got a bunch of awesome feedback about the Kyle Porter interview, and so Casey and I are working on. We want to bring on more guests. I think like we love talking about golf, but just with our lives and schedules, and it's very tough to do like a recap show. Like everybody else that does the recap show, like you gotta really watch you gotta watch a lot of the golf and then be able to do that podcast on a Sunday night or first thing Monday. And it's just gonna be tough for us to do that. But we love talking about like the world of golf with other people, and we got such awesome response. Like we had so much fun talking with Dave Jankowski, with Kyle Porter. We have some good guests coming up. John Sherman, who's a great follow on Twitter. He writes this book called he writes this blog called Practical Golf. He wrote a great book last year called The Four Foundations of Golf. He's like a golf coach, but not a swing instructor. He talks a lot about like on-course strategy and how to get better. And I've enjoyed following him for a long time. It was kind of one of those things similar to Kyle Porter. I go to Twitter, I go to DM this guy. I'm like, wait, he follows me. Why does he follow me? So I DM'd him, and he said he's more than happy to come on the show. You've sent me a bunch of like interesting people around golf brands, and so I'm excited about future stuff. But I think it's worth just letting people know, and then in between you're just gonna have me and Casey just being friends and talking about golf, and I think that's gonna be fun.
And my primary care physician is going to join us the end of or my doctor's going to join us the end of the
Perfect.
hour just to give me a
Perfect.
check
Even
up
though
live
there's
on air.
nothing like that's the other thing when the kids are this age. Like I remember we would go to the doctor's office with them every week, and the doctor would be like, "I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like there's there's nothing we can give them. This is just how it is." It's like, okay,
Yep.
great, thank you for that. Have you watched any? Did you watch any of the golf? We had some texts like the last two tournaments, but did you at least get to watch some of the golf recently?
Yeah, I guess we recorded Kyle right before the Century,
Right before
so
Kapalua. Yeah. I watched that. And I got to tell you
I
something.
did
I'm
too.
listening to some of these other podcasts. I'm listening to some other podcasts. I'm not going to name names. Maybe because we're new, but these guys are so hard on they're so hard on what they determine as high quality golf. Like this is too many birdie. That was so fucking fun to watch. I enjoyed watching Kapalua. It was a great ending. You had Chris Kirk, Thagala, Spieth. They were in the mix. It was a birdie fest. I don't know how. Like, I get the rollback discussions, but some of these guys are so like angry about. I'm like, how is that not fun for the average casual fan? That was a blast to watch. What's your point of view on that?
Yeah, no, I love watching that. That's like a very unique course that I don't think about throughout the year until that week, and I kind of remember it right away when I see it. Just kind of the downhill dog leg. It sets up perfectly for Chris Kirk's game, which is why
Well, just
he
it
played
doesn't it
so
give
well.
you it gives me vibes of like watching golf in high school. It's like that first kind of weekend school is back.
Yeah.
It's an in between weekend with football and playoff. Like the playoffs haven't started yet. Like I always feel like that was on like, and it's at night. I feel like I'd watch
And
that Sunday night.
yeah, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like Tiger used to play it all the time too.
He did.
So it was a big like his first tournament of the year,
Yeah.
obviously.
There was some
And
insane.
everyone
I don't
played.
know what year it was, but there was some insane like 6-hole playoff with Tiger and Ernie Els. Right.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And this is also the tournament where it seems like every year they threaten to break the four
The score.
round scoring
Yeah.
record. So
Yeah.
I think JT won it a few years ago, and somebody maybe even lowered it since. But fun to watch. I wish there was I wish Rory. I'd love to see Rory on this course. I think he would be bombs away. It'd be really cool to see. But they did have a pretty good field. And Kisner's debut was pretty good, I thought.
Oh, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Yes, I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought he scratched that itch of exactly what you and I have talked about, where he almost felt like, how we've said like, oh, we wish there was a channel where you could hear like players talk with their caddies. He was like awesome at those little anecdotes. Like he knew the players well. He gave those little like golf nerdy insights. I don't think that stuff is going to be interesting to like the more casual golf fan or somebody who doesn't really watch, isn't into golf as a player. But I thought he definitely, as my kids would say, filled my bucket with that.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I agree. I think uh, the stuff like the Scotty putting stuff, or even the Spieth
Yeah,
missed
okay.
putt, like That's so cool because I think he said on Spieth had what, like a 3-footer that he took 10 minutes on and missed, but
Yeah.
Kisner said something like these are the ones we make them putt when we're playing for money or something like that. Like you don't get that from anyone usually. It's
No,
just a
and
cool
he said
insight. He
something,
knew he was going to miss that.
and then after he missed that 3-footer, he made another one, and the next one he said, "All right, Jordan, just go line up there and bang it in the hole." And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of something you'd say to somebody on the course. I'm obsessed with the watching Spieth on the short putts now. I don't know why my golf fandom has just been MIA, but I went down a deep hole watching Spieth's no look 3-footers.
It's incredible, right?
It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would. I want to go mess around, but it makes a lot of sense.
You have
Also,
to that's one of those terrible things that an amateur, like a new golfer, could pick up and could be very, very disastrous, because that's something you have to intentionally do. If you're
Yeah.
just starting to like, well, I'm going to start,
Yeah.
because that's a bad way to teach bad.
Yeah,
One of the
well, you
worst
gotta
habits
be-
you can get as a young golfer is picking your head up or looking at
you
the
got to be locked in, like with your stroke, and know you're going to hit it in the same place every time to not look at the
Exactly.
hole and hit that
Yeah.
putt.
You have to put
Can,
as much time
can we
into
talk
that.
about the Scheffler thing for a minute though? Like, I agree with you, that was great, but don't you think someone has looked at that? like, like
What do you mean?
all
Like someone tried to correct that?
yes, like that's probably not the issue. Like, I'm sure Kisner, like, and this is the thing about golf. There's usually multiple things that could be right or wrong, and so it just seemed it seemed absurd to me. Maybe it's true. I'm not knocking Kisner at all, like Kev, if you're listening to this podcast, but like all everyone's talked about for the last six months is Scotty's putting. He has a putting coach. He obviously he's the best player in the world. He's clearly he's changing putters. He's working on something. You don't think that this guy would have noticed that and they would have worked on that? Like, Kevin Kisner sees it on TV and they're going to go fix that. That kind of was like,
I,
I'm sure
I
he's
don't know if
looked
he
at
said.
that.
I don't know if someone brought that up on the broadcast and he had this response, or if I saw him on a podcast or an interview somewhere else since, and someone brought that exact point up to him, saying like, "Don't you think someone's pointed that out to him?" And I think his response was, uh, "Anyone can point out something to someone, but if you're not listening to the advice." So he kind of inferred that maybe Scotty's not just
Wow.
like, it's not as intense. Like maybe he just feels comfortable doing that. I forget where I saw it, but it was that exact point. But yeah,
Yeah.
you would
Or
think that
it could be that subconscious thing that takes over when you're on the course and you don't even know that that's happening, right? Like, alignment can get so out of whack.
yeah, and especially like putting is so much different than every other putter golf, but he does everything else so well that it's hard to probably be like, I'm, like when you're in a rhythm, he's always striping the ball, but then when you get to the green, you probably just result back to the same habits that you've had, because those habits are the ones that when you're in the course are why you're succeeding so much. So I don't know. It's the all the stats that people have been talking about in the last few weeks about just how bad his putting is, but really how good every other part of his game. It's just crazy. I'm sure you've
And
seen all that stuff.
then last week was the Sony. Watched a little bit of that. I caught the playoff at the end. I love watching golf this time of year. I don't know much about Grayson Murray. Do you know anything about him?
No, I just know we've got back-to-back recovering alcoholic champions on the tour.
Trend.
Chris
And
Kirk and him.
that is true. I think Chris Kirk, it's been like almost a decade, and Grayson Murray, it's been a new thing.
Yeah,
I will
9
say
months, I think.
I love watching Chris Kirk hit the ball, just get up there and absolutely just sling a draw. It's
I know.
weird because a draw, it's okay. If you get up there and you sling a huge draw, it's okay. If you move it the other way, everyone's like, whoa, that's a slice. You're never gonna
Yeah.
survive that
It's a
way.
delicate balance. Let's put a bow or a pin in that for Chris Kirk at Augusta, and we'll see. That's a place you got to hit a lot of cuts. Let's see how he fares there. I mean, there are a lot of draw shots there too, but that course, the Century set up so perfectly for him. Just to go back on Chris Kirk for a second, I want to like remind myself of a course I know that requires a lot of
All right.
tight draw shots. Like, let's see how he does.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like you can just stand up there and just absolutely
cut shots.
sling one.
Yeah.
Any guess at how much Chris Kirk has made playing golf?
Oh God. This is a longevity thing. I'm going to say probably 22 million.
Wow, dude. Very, very good. 21.7.
Oh, I almost said 21.
I mean, that's what's crazy about this game that I don't think a lot of people understand. This guy's won 6 times. He's made $21 million playing golf.
It also makes sense why so many of the guys from like the 80s and 90s speak so like poorly of the game now.
Yeah, they're
just
so mad. It's like this guy won. I don't know an actual name.
There's
but
a lot
like,
of that in the NBA too. Like
yeah.
Barkley and those guys have a lot of angst
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
guys now that are making
Let
more
me just
money they ever made.
let me just give me a name. Give me a name here. Okay. Here's a good one for you.
Oh, like a 90s guy?
Lee Trevino. Lee Trevino. Career earnings.
Oh my
$1.3 million.
No way. Well,
Swear.
how long was the career?
322 events.
Wow. I bet he made more on the senior tour.
Yeah.
He made.
Then there's another article that says he has a net worth of 50 million. And then there's another. Okay, Lee Trevino.
It also makes sense why Gary Player is like a walking billboard.
why Gary Player hates any diversity and women and anything that's going to impact.
And his son is hawking shit left and right. Yeah.
He's a PXG guy. All right. So
speaking of which, hey, you didn't comment on my new poster in the background.
Hold on.
Here. I went on an eBay buying spree. Okay, go ahead.
I didn't comment there yet. Is that Tom Watson?
No, that is. You made me do a double take. That's Tom.
Who is
Kite.
that? That's Tom Kite.
Oh yeah.
Well, aren't they the same
Has
person?
those Coke bottle glasses?
Aren't they the same?
I bought this on eBay. It was like $17. It said autographs. I was like, yeah, right. I can't tell. It's signed, but I can't tell if it's like part of the print or if it's a Sharpie or not from like 1982.
And I see Alan Shipnuck's book. Phil, did you read it or did you just take it from your dad's like library and put it in your office?
It's just a background thing right now. I had intentions. I brought it on my vacation, but shocking, I didn't find a lot of downtime to read.
So I want to talk to you about that because I read that book as I've talked about, and then I went right into his next book, which came out this fall, which is about Live. And I feel like at first I was like, oh, I've heard enough about Live. I'm not sure I'm going to read this book. I just got it. I like to read something before I go to bed. I'm like 10 pages into this book. I sent you a screenshot the other day. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but I need to say this to you. Right in the beginning of the book, there's a story about a couple of anonymous tour pros go a couple of years ago to go play in this Saudi, Saudi Invitational or whatever that is. Or maybe it was at the Centurion, some other European tour, world tour event. Side note, do you know what DP World Tour means?
Oh, this impromptu title sponsor challenge. I don't.
You don't, right? I didn't know either. I thought DP World Tour meant like World Tour and like DP was something, right? DP World is the name of the company, and it is like this. It's the Saudi company, and it's the biggest company in the world.
Oh, well, that makes a whole lot of sense why they're in Dubai every few weeks.
DP World is an Emirati multinational logistics company based in Dubai. It specializes in cargo logistics, port terminal operations, maritime services, and free trade zones.
And this was just a European tour, correct?
It was the European tour. A couple of years ago, they bought they bought the naming rights. They do $10.5 billion in revenue each year, and they have 101,000 employees. So I'm just like, whoa, there's so many deeper threads here. I just thought it was like, it's the world tour, but DP is, so I didn't know that.
And that like tracing Saudi ties too, like that's why Rory always plays in those Saudi events, which is another hilarious element to the whole saga, because I think they gave him his first sponsor exemption when he was like, I don't know, 16 or something. So he's always had, I think he even said he lived in Dubai for like 4 or 5 years, Rory.
Insane.
So,
okay.
Go ahead.
There's so many things. And then the top 5 revenue companies in the world are number 1, Walmart, number 2, Amazon, number 3, Saudi Aramco.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who's the chairman of Saudi Aramco?
Is it Prince bin Salman, whatever his
name?
No,
it's this guy Yasser, who's on
that's
TV
right.
with Jay Monahan.
Yes.
So this is nuts. This is so nuts. It's not just.
I'm technically right, but yes, you're correct. He is on the title head as
okay. So the guy owns the company. So the prince owns the company, but Yasser's like
calling all the shots
on the board, which is nuts.
Yes,
so this guy
you're sneaky becoming a Yasser fanboy. I can tell.
I love him. Can't get enough.
Come on the pod, Yasser.
Like Phil said, they're scary motherfuckers, but I can't get enough. So this guy, he just loves golf. That's it.
Yeah.
Loves golf.
Mhm.
And they're like, which thing should we go and buy? And it happens to be the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Anyway, my story is they're on his yacht. These anonymous PGA Tour players are on his yacht. And these two guys
Grayson
start
Murray and some other guys. Yeah. Go ahead.
and Bubba. And they start talking about something. They start talking about Russia or something like that. Yeah, in the book, Alan Shipnuck says Yasser looks at one of his guys. He nods at him. The guy comes over. Yasser hands him his 2 cell phones, and he puts them next to a speaker. And he says to the PGA Tour player, he goes, "My people are always listening, even to me." And then they said that the PGA Tour player offered up his cell phone from Yasser, and he laughed at him. He says, "Well, we don't care about that."
Yeah.
So anyway,
hilarious.
that's just like, so reading this book, I'm like, wow, this thing goes so much bigger than golf. It's like truly people that are running the world are now getting into golf, and that, anyway, you should go read it if you're listening and you haven't read it yet. It's
Yeah,
just
crazy why people might be apprehensive to get into bed fully with those people who murdered a journalist. Anyway.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
literally. And anyway, so it's nuts. So I think you should, if you can, sometime, for you're a night owl, make the time, read that Phil book for 10 minutes a day. It would make you happy.
You think that's the right order too? I know, like
Yeah.
I feel like the Live book would really be more interesting to me right now, but and the Phil
Yeah,
stuff
no,
might be
you
more
could read
evergreen. But
you could read the Live. You could read the
there's
Live
no
book
order
now.
to the two, right? There's no
There's no order to the two. He just
there's no story arc.
and he spent the first chapter of the book. Spoiler alert. This whole thing that's happening right now with like blowing up the PGA Tour has already happened. Did you know that?
What do you mean? Oh yeah. Back
In
Greg Norman tried to do it.
1968, Greg Norman
People
tried to
don't
do
realize
it.
this is his second round at this.
Yeah. Oh, no. So Norman tried to do it later than that, but in 1968, there was all of the PGA of America, the
Right.
PGA ran golf, and all those guys were like, "Wait, this is bullshit." Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, they're not getting
the tour.
paid enough. We don't own any. So it's kind of like history keeps repeating itself.
That
Now
was the
just
creation of the
Saudis.
tour, right?
Yes, that's how
Right, yeah,
exactly. So it was just called the PGA, and then the PGA Tour was created.
Yeah. No Saudis involved in those, I think.
No. Then Greg Norman came, and he did some big pitch meeting, and basically Arnold Palmer, like, he gathered all these guys. He had all these he had these, printouts, presentations to show everybody, and he was making this big pitch to all the players. Arnold Palmer basically stood up and like poo-pooed it, and they all walked out of the room, and Norman was just furious and embarrassed, and that's kind of what has led to this vendetta today.
It's kind of that Trump story arc where, right, Seth Meyers roasted him at that like correspondence dinner, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you." Like, oh,
Yeah,
be careful what you wish.
it's nuts. It's nuts. Anyway, that's
yeah,
what
he wanted to be paid. I was gonna say Greg Norman wanted to be paid in motorcycles only, and they were like, Palmer was like, "This is fucking ridiculous. No, I'm out of here."
It's a perfect fit for Live. So that's what I've been reading and consuming. The other thing I want to talk to you about: what was your reaction to Tiger and Barstool and Foreplay?
And Tiger in general with no Nike.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, what you want to go with the Nike thing first?
Yeah, talk about Nike. What's your I don't have an opinion or reaction to that. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just more interested than anything. I think it's, like most things, I'm nostalgic and I want things to be the way they are. That's why I want the tour to be the tour. I don't want there to be a new Live. Like I grew up on Nike Red Sunday Tiger, and that's kind of who he is to me. I still think someone made a good point the other day that he owns the Tiger Woods logo, so that might not be going anywhere. So he could you might not even notice that he's really left Nike.
He could just basically have TW brand stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rumors that TaylorMade's working on some kind of new line, or I don't know if you saw those rumors where they've been posting job things for some new consumer brand under the
I didn't, but
division.
I went down this hole the other day because I'm like, wait a second, wasn't the big thing TaylorMade and Adidas, and all these guys are now all these guys are wearing Nike and other stuff in TaylorMade shoots, and I guess a private equity company like bought TaylorMade from Adidas, or Adidas from whatever. They split up a couple years ago. So
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where he goes. I think in that Nike post, that was one of the stranger PR moves I've ever seen.
So vague. Is it the vaguest message ever?
And Nike, neither of them said that they were breaking up. It was just kind of like, great run. He was like,
But didn't
it's
he
been
even? Did he
awesome.
not even? He didn't even mention the word Nike in that post, did he?
No, I don't know. Maybe I don't think so. I know he mentioned like Phil Knight and innovation and stuff, but I don't know if he did exactly. But yeah, he mentioned something there saying like excited what's next. See you in LA, which his tournament is Riviera.
Riviera,
Which is,
yeah.
when is that, in February or March?
Oh, he did say Nike, yeah.
So maybe that's when he's gonna be unveiling whatever's next for him. But um, I'm sure this had been, these contracts are so long. I'm sure they've known about this for a couple of years, and it makes the whole FootJoy thing make sense. The last few years, where he's been saying, I know he does have orthopedic needs now that he didn't used to have, but he kind of seemed like he was sticking it to them. Like, how could Nike not come up with a shoe that works for Tiger Woods, and his new
Yeah.
his new walking gait? So
Yeah.
I'm sure this has been in the works for a few years, but kind of sad end of an era. But I think it was probably, I saw something Phil Knight had said recently where Nike Golf had never made money, or it hadn't made money in the last 10 years. It was kind of a loser for them. They had already started getting out of the equipment game. And I think the idea now is they'll probably go to mostly Jordan stuff. You see that with Scotty Scheffler's wearing a lot of Jordan brand stuff. So maybe that's where the new golf market is for them, is kind of a younger, more urban look. I don't know. What do you think?
And yes, and Scotty Scheffler is the face of
Who better?
Who better than Scotty Scheffler to go with a
Golf's
younger,
bad
more
boy.
urban
He
look?
hits the shit out of the ball, but he can't putt.
I've never had. I think like for how some of the guys dress on tour, I've never had a problem with Nike guys. It's just like simple. It's plain. It's simple. It's not. It's not like in your face design standpoint. I got to tell you, I can't. Like Jason, like there's going to be this new trend of these new guys signing with up and coming brands, like these Instagram brands, and I don't have a beef with Malbon. I've never worn Malbon, but man, that's just
Malbon?
not
Is
for
it
me.
Malbon?
This
Malbon?
Malbon, this like streetwear, street culture blend in golf, and it has nothing to do with. I'm not an uppity golf guy. Like some of the clothes it just looks ridiculous, and I don't know. That's like this new wave. That's like this new wave that's happening now with golf. And so, Case, I
Well, it
think
makes sense. Like COVID, they say, was like one of the bigger things for golf, expanding the game, right, and bringing new people into it. So now they're just trying to appeal to wider audiences, and golf's getting younger and younger. So it kind of makes sense why they're doing it. To your point, those pants are horrific. But I said to you, what if Tiger went to Malbon and he wears the red Jason Day's pajama pants on Sundays now?
And then like it just doesn't make any sense to me. And then Jason Day is also, so his new sponsors are Malbon, and DeWalt, like the tool company.
Yeah, that is one of the stranger combinations.
So look,
And
I love
Lululemon. It's like
sponsors.
nothing.
I'm about getting paid. I love sponsors. I'm not saying, but like, I mean, come on, you gotta have like, let's get some like let's get some good brand. Let's figure this out.
Wait, did I see that your boy Patrick Cantlay is a DeWalt guy now?
I was just kidding. You said yes, Goldman Sachs and DeWalt.
Doesn't he have the DeWalt hat now?
I don't know.
I
I don't know if
what
it's on
happened
his
to the
hat. He's been
again,
a DeWalt.
these
He's been a DeWalt guy. Patrick Cantlay, DeWalt. I think he gets a bad rap. Project Pat. He's going to win a major this year. FYI.
Maybe.
No, his hat. His hat is Goldman Sachs on the front.
Oh, is it a
DeWalt.
new Goldman Sachs hat?
DeWalt
hat,
on the side.
I thought he played at the Century.
Yeah.
I thought it was a different looking hat. I was concerned, but
you were concerned.
No, he's still there.
Him and
DeWalt
Joey.
making a move into golf. I'd love to know the reasoning behind that.
I don't know. I love it. I love it. I wish I had a big enough brand. I wish I had a big enough brand where we could sponsor PGA Tour.
I bet. Hey, I have a buddy that works in this world and negotiates that exact thing. It'd be great to have him on. It may not be as far away as you think on some guys.
What might not be far away?
Like a Dave Gerhardt.
Oh yeah.
On the or GG, whatever.
Like who could I get? Like let's have your boy come on. Who could I get for like $50,000 for the year? I'd sign up for that.
Oh, I think you would get a lot of guys for that.
That could be like the viral play. Can you be my agent on this? Let's make this happen.
Okay.
Let's make a list for the pod. Do it for the pod.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to my guy. We'll see what we can do.
It's just so fascinating.
because there's so many different places to advertise on like
Yeah.
the bag's
Yeah.
expensive, I think, but like on the shirt especially, or
I watched this
it's a fascinating world.
I watched this amazing video last year on this Fire Pit Collective, which is like a golf. They do a
Yeah,
podcast, a YouTube
they're
channel.
great.
It's Alan Shipnuck and those guys. They followed this guy. This guy's name was Mark Baldwin, and he was grinding like Monday qualifying, trying to make the tour. And he had been he had had a cup of coffee on the tour. Long story short, he Monday qualifies. He gets into an event, and his agent or whoever, he didn't even have an agent. All of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, some bank wants to give you like a 20 grand line of credit if you wear their hat for the week." And him and his wife were like kind of bummed about it because they wanted cash, but they were like, "Okay, it's better than nothing." And so he wore the hat. And it's just like stories like that I'm
Yeah.
fascinated by.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't even that. It was like MG. I think it was like MGM, and he got like 4 nights free and like a $15,000 payment that he could use at the MGM casino or something.
You know, it's funny. It was on over the break. I was watching the PGA Championship, and they were showing a bunch of the different Michael Block things.
Ugh.
But he did the walk and talk with Scott Van Pelt. I think it was either Thursday or Friday during the day, and then they showed the one he did with Jim Nance on Sunday, and just like he had like all this new kind of sponsorship stuff between the 2 days, and I was fascinated by that. Like
What
who got the
transpired
call Friday
overnight?
night exactly,
Totally,
and then who's like
totally.
they got to have an embroidery guy on staff that's like we got to get this patch to this. You know, I'm sure when I used to work a tour event, there were these just like rows and rows of trailers that were the tailor made whatever all the different adjustment stuff by the practice. But I'm sure they have like ones that are just like screen printing or I don't know embroidery. That'd be a good
That's
a fun video to see like all the behind what happens when so and so goes to Stardom overnight, has new sponsors, and by Saturday morning needs like all new gear with stuff.
Yeah, and like
Fascinating.
where's Blocky staying, and like who got that to him, and how do they know his size? All that stuff is great. You mentioned you used to work at this tournament, and it made me think. I meant to say, you know who won the Deutsche Bank in 2014? Your boy Chris Kirk.
He did.
Were you working at that? Were you there at that point?
I think I was. I think that might have been the last year. I think I did like maybe 2011 through 14. Rory won 1 year, and I stupidly asked a question at his press conference, which was fine. But like my bosses after were like, "That's not why you're here for." I'm like, okay,
Rory, in the future, I'm gonna have a podcast. Do you want
I
to
love
come
you.
on it?
Love to have you come on.
Back to Tiger. So did you watch what's your reaction to the foreplay guys getting Tiger? Did you watch the video?
I did. I thought that video was cool.
What was the best part of the video to you? Or tell me about your reaction to the video.
Um, I think I thought the coolest part was just the way he kind of interacted with them. But I love when he asked for one ball when he went back to the cart. Did
And
you see that?
they showed it, and the
Just one
guy's
ball.
like he knew right away. He's such
Yeah.
he's such a little showman. He's so arrogant. Like he was like he knew from the second he got there. He said, "I need a glove," and he went and got one ball.
Yeah. But I honestly, the thing that I made me laugh the hardest was just um, the heart monitor thing. I think I told you like the Whoop, like those guys, because it's so relatable. Because like if you knew you were gonna film something with Tiger Woods, you would be like I think a lot of people would try to play that off too cool, and it was pretty honest of them to just be like, this is one of the craziest things we've ever done. This is the Great White Buffalo. Like this is our guy, and
Yeah, I mean, it's not
it's honest.
your brain doesn't even like you can try to not be nervous, but just something in your brain, whether you're playing with like if you, me, and Janko and Kyle Porter went and go played, and you don't think you'd be nervous on the first tee, of course you would, right? This is Tiger
Side question for
Woods.
you.
Yeah,
Um, I was gonna say just hitting a ball in front of him would have been,
of course.
your hands would be shaking. But my question to you, what's the most people that's ever watched you hit a consequential golf shot?
Like 11, 10.
And that's scary, right?
Yeah, this yeah, I've never done anything meaningful, but
No, I mean, no, but you said you've played in tournaments
I
before. I
played
don't know
okay,
if
so I
people come
played
in.
yeah, so this there's probably two. One of them was like the first tee box at the Vermont Am this year. There's just like people weren't watching, but there's just like there was the first tee is right near 10 and the clubhouse is right there, and a lot of people are going back and forth. Nobody's really paying attention.
And it's
But
serious.
yeah, it's serious. It counts. It's real. And they're
Right.
like, okay, these people must be decent if they're here, decent enough.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a buddy of mine up here. We played in this, like they have a 4-ball event up in the fall, and we thought we had won it, and we went into a playoff, and a bunch of the other guys who like were sitting around waiting, drinking, they decided to come out and watch the first couple playoff holes. And that I was nervous. I was like, there's 8 degenerates drinking beers. They really don't care. Who cares? But yeah, you're like, well, I'm nervous. I don't want to top it in front of these people. So to your point, this is Tiger. I love that part of the video when the beginning of the video when they go over and see Tommy Fleetwood and Tommy points out that there's the red and black coming, and they all start freaking out was just great.
Yeah.
Was so great.
I had heard something they did a few months ago. I think it was right after they filmed this, and they were talking about that they had something with Tiger they couldn't talk about until whatever that date was, January or whatever. But they did mention the Tommy thing, so I was watching for that. But they said at some point, it wasn't in the video, but at some point they were like, "You need to get the fuck out of here," because they kind of know him, but he was just fucking with them. Like they put in that part where he's like, "I see the red and black coming," but he just was like trying to make them more nervous. They're like, "All right, you got to get the." So imagine being so excited and nervous for something that you're like telling
Right.
Tommy Fleetwood, like, get the
Right.
fuck out of here.
Um
What do you think of it?
Tiger
You liked it?
yes, I did. They're not my favorite content creators in the golf space. But I do think you're right. It was very authentic and endearing. It was tough to be mad at that. They were very like it was almost like cute, right? Like the way that they were so nervous and everything, and Frankie just, ripping 2 5 woods, and Tiger. It
And I'm
kind
glad they
I
left the trend part in because that's very like authentic because that's what a lot of us would do is just rat about 5 balls out there and not be able to fix it. And there wouldn't be a happy ending, right?
and he's like, one more. I'll do what I gotta hit one more. I gotta hit one more.
Yeah. And then you
Um
see the other guys like we get 10 minutes with him and we're wasting it on this.
Totally.
What would you do with 10, 15 minutes with him?
I think that was right. I was kind of curious, and obviously these guys are good at content. They're smart. I think if you only had 10 minutes with Tiger, I think you only had 10 minutes with Tiger. I think the idea of having each one, and because they play a lot of golf on their channel and in their content, I think the idea, and they're like not very good or they're trying to get better. The idea of having Tiger like look at their swings and do one thing that was pretty good. Do you have a better idea? I actually thought the better part was they kind of did an impromptu interview with him at the end, and he's a good storyteller. But
Yeah.
how would you have handled that? What would you have done if you could pitch it? If you had you and me on the driving range with Tiger, we got 20 minutes. What are you doing?
And I honestly haven't thought about this till I just asked you. So
Of course, that's what this
I mean, I'm
podcast
sure we
is
could come
for.
up with something better, but I was thinking like sometimes in those situations, you try to get too much done and you get nothing done. I would do like focus on one iconic thing, like, his where he hits I don't know,
Yeah,
with like a wedge, the thing he
yeah,
kind of dribbles it to himself. I
yeah,
just like I've said ever since I saw that video, I like practiced that my whole life, and I know how to do it. Not like him, but
yeah,
I would be like, teach me how to do that or something, or like tell me the
yeah,
origin behind that, or get him to tell a story that goes back to some his old days or something like
yeah.
that.
Something like that is good, or
I'd be
like
like, how
some
about all
chip,
those girls you were
some
banging back in the day? Like, no, that's
some
not the it's not the
yeah,
route to go.
yeah. How good? What was the brunch like at Perkins? Or
Uh,
like chipping technique. There's this
Dr-
amazing, like I love the
yeah,
tailor-made shoot where like he's like, teach me how to hit that like 56 runner. I have two more things that I want to say this. I kind of was creeped out by Tiger a little bit in that he was so he was acting. That's not who he can't be you have to act. And I don't mean creeped out. I just mean like imagine being that famous at that level. Like you have to basically flip and be in character, and like this is Barstool. These guys want to feel amazing. He can't be grumpy. He can't be snarky. He's got to be like, hey, like he almost had this like smile that he was acting on. And the hard part about that format was there wasn't actually enough time to like really give a lesson. So he's like, yeah, just do that, And it's like that's not how you'd fix Trent's swing. Like if you could.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, you could tell it was a little robotic, but
It was a little robotic, but
um,
it was great. It was great. Obviously, like so absurd. Tiger just to be a showman gets down on his knees, and he just had this look, and he how good was that? Like he was so proud of himself that he did that.
um, have I ever told you about the time I met him?
No.
It was at the tournament, the Deutsche Bank. It used to be his tournament, used to benefit his foundation, and I used to work with his foundation that ran the event. There was about 5 or 6 women that ran it, and he just walked into a and by meeting him, this is air quotes. I was in a room with about 4 or 5 people that work for him and me, and it was like he hadn't seen them in like maybe 3 or 4 months, and he was so genuine, like gave him all hugs, like was asking him questions like how's like I just remember just watching him like this guy like this was a very like his face, the way he just acted seemed different. He was like not, and they were like, oh, this is Casey, and he like gave me a nod and I nodded. That was me meeting him, but I just observing him was like this guy cares about these people that work for him, and he knew their stories and stuff, but it was a completely different version like that. Like even that's supposed to be like relaxed Tiger. It's not like him.
Yeah. Well, just because you see it's just a wild juxtaposition of like the super competitive guy who's so laser focused and then being that person. It's tough. It must be tough to be those two characters.
Yeah.
Last thing on the thing on the actually as a just a marketing person or creator of some kind, what really, and I just love watching the golf stuff on YouTube. What really stood out to me was I'm fascinated in how they do those tailor-made shoots, because so if you go to YouTube on TaylorMade Golf Channel, they have like all these videos of like Tiger chipping with Scotty, right? All the guys doing stuff, and they all dress up. You've seen the things where they dress up and they do the, funny videos and they hit through glass. I'm wild. It's wild to me that they like TaylorMade. If you're on a TaylorMade staff, they film for one day, and all day they get these like 10-minute segments, like, and that becomes the YouTube video or they chop up like 20 videos from that one day, and that becomes their year's worth of content. But in reality, you see Tiger and Tommy Fleetwood were like over there hitting some like punch shot out of the woods for like
Right.
5 minutes, right? And that's going to be some like million view TaylorMade golf video. That was just wild to see like the procession of that.
Yeah. And where was that?
They have some place. It's called like the Kingdom, I think. I don't actually
That's
know.
where that was?
I would assume that that's where all that stuff takes
I
place.
couldn't tell. It looked a little bit. It looked a little Pinehurst-y, but it probably wasn't there. I didn't know if they were down there for like a practice session since the U.S. Open's there. But um, the foreplay guys talk about this a little bit, and that's how they got him, because in their contract they get Tiger for 6 hours a year, and it's like that day. So they carved out like 10-15 minutes for them.
6 TaylorMade, one of the biggest golf brands in the world. They get this guy first. He's like, I'll give you 6 hours.
Yeah. Or that's what I think they just threw that out there. I don't know how accurate it is, but that it's something like that where so you're right. They do like the Scotty Scheffler, like the no divot video, like they're doing all that stuff in one day. I'm sure they're getting more than that, but it's pretty cool. And it's probably very easy to get everyone down there in one day when they say, all right, Tiger, what day can you make it? And he's like, this is the day. And then they go to every other pro. They're like, this is the day Tiger's coming. If you want to do videos
so
of Tiger,
true.
you better show up. Yeah.
The logistics of like, like the marketing team at TaylorMade figuring out like which day are we going to do that. They pay this guy $40 million. They pay him $8 to $10 million a year, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you 6 hours.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
the kind of leverage you want.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what else? What do you want to talk about before we wrap up? Anything else?
I'm gonna go into some picks for the week, because I got a lot on this tournament, and
let's talk about this week. Go ahead.
And maybe even before we do, we skipped over it really quickly, but the title sponsor challenge we missed a few weeks. Do you know what what Century does?
I do now, because I watched a lot of it. I thought they were like some type of software company, like a cybersecurity software company. They're an insurance company, which is
exactly
lame.
And Sony, you're good on. We don't have to.
Yeah,
cover that one.
It's a Japanese burger chain.
Yeah, they make cassette players.
They do. They actually I bought I went down another hole. I spent $99 on eBay, and I bought a PlayStation 1.
Really?
Yes.
Why? So you bought a 64 like 6 months ago.
I don't know how this happened. My son is 4, and he started asking. Maybe I showed him one time, but I showed him Crash Bandicoot.
Really? Just like a video?
Yeah, I showed him like a YouTube video of Crash Bandicoot, and I was like, because he wanted to know like other games I played when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't know why I used to love this game, Crash Bandicoot, and all he talked about for 2 months was Crash Bandicoot. So I gave in, and I spent $99 on I spent like $40 in the game, and $99 I have a PlayStation 1 and Crash Bandicoot. So
you
shout out
can
to
get
Sony.
that stuff on your computer.
Yes, I wanted the
for free?
experience because I'm like
Okay.
I also could have gotten it like on something newer like a Nintendo Switch, but I'm not ready to go full bore on like the video game addiction with them. So I figured like getting an older system would kind of be a middle ground, and it's been good so far.
And real quick, you don't strike me as a Crash Bandicoot guy. I
I
feel like
know this is very weird. I run
you
without
would strike me
headphones.
as like a sports only kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Tony Hawk was a
Yeah,
big one.
it's a sport.
I have no idea how I got into Crash Bandicoot, but it's so fun, and I played it all weekend with him. It's very fun.
Well, so that you're on pace to get to like GameCube by what, next August?
100%.
That'll be
100%.
awesome. So this week the tour is going to they're going to La Quinta, California, or as my wife would say, La Quinta,
La Quinta.
for the American Express, which is a really cool tournament. I think this is still the case. It's one of the only tournaments that play multiple courses. They play
Do they-
three.
Interesting.
So they play. There's three different. There's the Pete Dye Stadium course. There's the La Quinta Country Club, and there's the Nicholas Tournament course. And you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a different one, and then I believe um, the championship one is at Nicholas on Sunday, but I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
But kind of cool. This is also the tournament where John Rahm, I think he won last year, but a few years ago he was mumbling as he went off the course, like goddamn fucking putting contest. Do you remember that?
Oh,
viral
that's
clip?
right. I do remember that. Yeah.
I've actually played this course multiple times. I've the Nicholas course. Excuse me. I've played
Which is
multiple
the
times.
one? The only one I know is because they show it every year. That has a humongous bunker on 16. Like they show this. They show this on Instagram all the time. It just was on. PGA
If it
Tour
would be
Instagram.
like I think it would be. This is
It's
great.
an 18.
We did some great prep here.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's what we're here for.
I think. Well, all those courses have like a ton of bunkers. But yeah, I think that might be the stadium course.
All right.
But it's a cool course. It's another one that always challenges for like the low. I think last year was like 28 under won it or something like that. They're going to set a scoring record again. But have you ever played golf in the desert out there or anywhere in even like Arizona? This is Palm Springs,
No,
California.
I played desert golf in Vegas, but that was the closest that I've gotten really.
And what
to
do you think?
it. Looks cool, not that fun for me.
Why not fun?
Just because like you're either in the fairway or you're not in play. Like if you hit in the desert at all, you're behind a rock or a cactus or.
It's
or-
interesting.
or
So I've
whatever.
played. We had some family out in this area, in the Palm Desert area, my whole life. So we would go out there every year on vacation. So I probably, when I was like, by the time I was 14 years old, like half the rounds I'd ever played were out in the desert. I'd play like 2 or 3 times a year at home, and I'd play 2 or 3 times when we were out there. And actually, like if I think I've shot like in the 70s 10 times in my life, and if I have, I've shot like 5 or 6 of them in the desert. For some reason, I think it has something to do with there's no forests lining the fairways that swallow my balls, and I'm
Lets
hitting
you-
threes off
like,
the tee.
You're okay with
If I can find it, I'm
spray
okay.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I can go hit it out of like a snake bush way out in the desert, but I don't know what it is. It kind of fits my style more out there, so I love it. But it's cool to see. I think any kind of those desert golf stuff, you end up seeing all of the summer, these lush green courses of Florida as they work their way up the coast. The tour does during the
And
summer. I like this time of year.
beginning of the West Coast swing. So it's like golf is starting to get good and real, right? We have Torrey Pines next week. We got the Pebble Beach, and then we're getting into some.
And then
good
you have
golf
the
now.
Waste Management will be within the next month or so, right? It's usually Super Bowl weekend, and
That's right.
It's a very similar course or style, of course, TPC Sawgrass and
Yeah.
the stuff you see out in PGA West. But it's a really cool tournament every year. It will be on later, which is we love those tournaments that finish 7 o'clock on the Sunday night versus stuff you got to watch the middle of the day.
Yep.
Do you have any recollection of this tournament? Or I think it's had some different changes over the years, but this is one I think Duval won this one with the 59 with the eagle on 18 one year. There's been some crazy finishes over the years.
No, I have not. I have none. No recollection. Although it says 22 of the top 50 in the OWGR playing this week, so the field seems like a good field. I'm trying
Yeah.
to find my way to a list of players based on world rankings, so I can make picks with you live on the spot right now.
You know what's the best way to do it? PGAtour.com. Go to leaderboard, and
Yeah.
then go to field, and then just click OWGR.
All right.
I think
do
you
that.
taught me that a few weeks ago, and I'm reteaching it to you. But you get
Unbelievable.
Scotty, you get Xander, you get your boy Patrick
Here we go.
Cantlay,
Here we go.
Wyndham
Yeah,
Clark,
but I
Tom
can't
Kim.
pick. I can't pick any of those guys though.
No, I'm saying the field is pretty strong this year
Yeah.
for one of these types of tournaments.
Yeah. What's our cutoff? 150.
It is.
Okay.
So if we haven't done our picks this year, so we'll refresh it. We have a season-long tournament going where we go by money list. We each pick 3 guys outside the top 150 for each tournament. We'll do a kind of a snake draft at the end of the year. Who has the most money on the leaderboard is the winner, and the loser has to caddy for the other person in a tournament or just a round or something.
Love that.
So I'll give you the first pick here for the American Express. Go for it. You've had a lot of time to prepare.
Bring it. I'm good.
I already know who you're going to pick. You want him? Number 150, right on the line.
Is Camilo right there? He is.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not. I don't want him. You can have him.
No, you get the first pick. Go ahead.
I have the first pick. Okay. The first pick, fresh from the booth onto the course. Your man, my man. He's ranked number 247 in the world. Kevin Kisner.
Wow. I like that. He did not play well the other day.
No, he did not. He did not. But why not? He just needed some reps. He needed some reps. I like Kiz this week.
I think I forget where I saw him. He was on maybe Smiley Kaufman's podcast or something this week. He was talking about someone saying like, would you do this more full time? And he's like, well, they got to show me the money more. So meaning like it's got to be worth more to him to be in the booth than it is to play. But I wonder if that moment comes more, sooner than he might think. I love watching him play, but he was so good in the booth. He's going to be in the booth for the Waste Management, which is going to have like one of the bigger ratings. So it'll be interesting to see if like he really blows up there. You could have like a Tony Romo situation.
Well, it seems like they're both trying to like hedge a little bit, right? They like the reaction's been good, but they don't have him full time. They don't know who it's going to be. So, all right.
No, but all they need is one of the other networks to say, hey, you want to come work for us? And then all of a sudden there'll be a bidding war.
True. All right. Make your pick, sir.
All right. I'm going to go 2 in a row here because we're doing the snake draft. Okay. I'm going to go with a Netflix full swing favorite, Joel Dahman. I think he played pretty well last week. And I'm also going to take Gareth Higo, who I believe I won with or came close to winning with earlier this year. And he tied for 11th last year, same tournament. So I got Dahlman and Higo. And you get
all right. I like that. Okay, fine. Do I have back-to-back now? Do I get to snake it?
You do.
Okay, I'm going to go with Mr. 150, Camilo. He's there. He's right at 150. How could I not? It's fine.
He's been playing well.
And then I got another guy that I like. I like Ryan Palmer, 192 this week.
He was on my list. Ryan Palmer.
Sorry, man.
If I put Ryan Palmer in a room and Ryan Moore in a room, could you tell me who was who?
I wouldn't be able to tell you either of them. As evidence to me thinking that was Tom Watson who won the 1992 U.S. Open behind.
Yeah.
So.
I was going to gift this to you, but I guess I'm not going to anymore since you don't know who it is. Tom Kite. All right. So my last pick, I don't know who this guy is. I have a little bit of a lead in this, so I'm going to get fancy here and maybe let you back in. But
yeah. By the way, you got to unlock this. You got to unlock. I'm like locked out of our pool. You got to fix.
I think it's because we didn't make a pick for like 2 weeks. They thought we stopped doing it. But I've got a spreadsheet. Don't worry.
Okay.
Only thing I know about this guy is his name. I've seen it on the leaderboard a few times the last few weeks, and it's been way down the list. But I'm just going with it because there's nobody in the world who's in more dire need of a nickname, and maybe we can help him with it. But it's Adrian Dumont de Chachart.
Oh, I love him.
You know who that is?
Is he from France?
It sounds like it.
It
doesn't sound like he's from Missouri.
No, I love him.
How do you know him?
I don't know. Probably follows me on Twitter or something like that.
Well, that means he'll be on the show in 2 weeks. Great. All right. So we need a nickname for him.
Look, I got to tell you something. I like the Grinders Tour. It's great to not pick the big guys, but like, come on, tell me if I couldn't pick like Cantlay this, like when are you going to let me pick? How about for the majors? I can pick like Cantlay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
That's all
I think for the
that's all I want.
majors we can. I think for the majors we can do. You're right. We'll do
Field.
non-grinders because there's not really that's a hard field to get into. But I think U.S. Open, it's a good one to do grinders though, because that's like one where it is like, or the PGA Championship, you got actual. Maybe we'll do a separate PGA Championship. Like, what do you call those guys? The blocky guys? They're like
They're club pros. What do you mean? What do we call them? Club pros.
no, but isn't there a designation for them in that? Like they won their sectional qual. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Club pros. That's what.
by the way,
That's what
Blocky's
Django.
coming
That's
back.
what
Don't forget.
he's coming
That
back.
birdie on 18 last year on the PGA Championship got him into Valhalla this year.
What was it? Top 10?
I think it might have just been top 15. It was top 15. By the way, I'm sorry to go back into the blocky thing, but there's a great PGA Tour. PGA of America YouTube video of the Michael Block story, just as told. It's about 23 minutes. It's just as told by his Sunday, I think. Just his Sunday or Saturday and Sunday at the PGA Championship through the broadcast. There's no commentary. There's no like hype stuff. It's just what happened on like live TV. It is remarkable. You forget how like crazy that story is and like emotional it is. I know everything since that in him saying that if he had Rory's drives, he'd be the best player in the world. And if Rory had his drives, he would be outside the top 400 or whatever. But that was ridiculous what happened. That's going to be a movie. It's just insane. The hole in one, everything.
I'm not afraid to admit this. I was watching that. I made Leah watch it. And when he did that interview with Amanda Balionis, there might have been some mist in my eyes.
The one after the round?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, now it's like not cool. It's like he's become so overblown and so viral. But in that
that's
moment,
what this video is. It helps remind. It's like this is the unadulterated version of what happened. It's not the shit that happened before or after. It's just like here. It has the Nance walk and talk, and it's before he was probably corrupted by whatever. And good for him. You've got to make the most out of your opportunity. So good for him. But I'll send it to you. It's a good reminder of like, wow, that's. And one of the more unforgivable things of all time, I don't understand it, is that hole in one happened. Did you watch it live when it happened?
I did. Yeah.
It happened probably like 15 seconds before they got back from break. And Jim Nance comes out of break and goes, here it is, just happened a few seconds ago. And why do you have to say that? Nobody knows it's not live. Just say, here we go to Michael Block on that. Like there is no Jim Nance has zero blemishes on his record except for this. It makes no sense why he had to say like just 10 seconds ago. Just like, I know it's going in now that you just said that. Just let me see it live. I don't know.
It's such a good distinction.
I don't get it.
I was listening to I forget which podcast it was. Maybe it was No Laying Up, but this summer there was the Canadian Open, and do you remember who won that? Nick Taylor?
Yeah, Canadian. They changed the logo to him.
What do you mean they changed the logo?
The Canadian Open's logo is now like, I think I'll have to look it up, but it had like a golfer in it, kind of like the PGA Tour has the guy swinging, but it had something in it, but they changed it to him. I think when he dropped his putter, remember he made that bomb, like a Canadian hadn't won the Canadian Open in 50 years, whatever. And he made this like 50-foot eagle putt on 18 to win it. That's where, what's his name got tackled.
Yeah. That was there.
The Canadian Open logo, they just changed it to, it has Nick Taylor in it.
So this was made me think of, they were talking about this on No Laying Up, but just Nance had the Nick Taylor made this putt and he just shouts glorious and free. Which is apparently those words are in the Canadian national anthem, but it's like, where does he come up with this shit?
Oh yeah,
glorious and free. Jim Nance with a fantastic call. I love that.
Check Slack for a second and look at the thing I just sent you.
All right,
it's pretty funny. It went from like a Payne Stewart looking guy to Nick Taylor throwing his.
Oh, that's amazing. Like that's actually great. That's actually sick. That's a sick logo. It feels like it doesn't. RBC feels like very like, this is a bank. This is a big. Who even knows if this is a bank? That logo does look like No Laying Up. It looks amazing. Oh, this is just the Royal Bank.
It's the Royal Bank of Canada. It is a bank. 100%
Okay,
a thing.
thanks. The RBC. It's the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Spoiler.
All right.
Pretend
This was
I
a
didn't
good
tell you
pod.
that.
I had fun. This was an improv pod. I really enjoyed it. We can just always do this when we don't have a guest. I gotta jump. Case, thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing your wit and your wisdom. I hope everything is settles down at your house. Hopefully, I will avoid any of the plagues here too. Everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of the Long Game Pod. Send us some listener emails, longgamepod@gmail.com. And watch the golf this weekend to see Camilo put on a show. But also, I like Kiz. And I'll be slacking you later, Case.
All right. Rory, come on the pod. I'm sick. Come on, please.
He's talking the long game.
They played the long game.
They gotta play the long game.
They're experienced and they played the long game.
No, you're talking the long game.
They're experienced and they played